So we're live now. Everybody here? Okay.
Well, I think Doris and Pro will be giving you this.
Okay, good. Maybe they're visiting a yard sale, right? Is that what you always say?
I think they drove by.
Okay. Okay. Well, happy December. And I have some really wonderful news for you today. Do you know that the same power and presence that put the galaxies into their spin and that inspired Mozart to write his symphonies works through each and every one of us also? That is how we are given the power to change judgment into compassion and hatred into love. So with that, we will sing our theme song. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. Hi, ladies. Hi. All right, Susan will read our daily word.
Okay. Our daily word for today is faith. Faith fills my heart and mind. It takes great faith to bring a baby into the world. For Mary, 2,000 years ago, who was told she was carrying a child of infinite potential, it must have taken great faith indeed. As Jesus grew and began his ministry, he taught that we are each filled with infinite potential. He said with faith, quote, nothing will be impossible for you, end quote. We unleash this potential when we believe in ourselves and trust in the divine within. As I move into the sacred season of Christmas, I celebrate my Christ nature. With faith in my heart, I embrace the divine potential that is in me. From Matthew 17:20, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Our affirmation again, faith fills my heart and mind.
Faith fills my heart and mind. And there aren't really any announcements except that this Wednesday I'm teaching a class here at 6 o'clock. And it's called, I'm calling it Bright Beginnings because it helps give us a kickstart to the healing process. Sometimes we have things blocking us that we don't know about with our old programming and stuff that we picked up when we were little kids. So that happens this Wednesday. So it's a free talk, so I hope you'll come. Jeanette's gonna come, and it's at 6 p.m. and Jeanette will be doing little mini treatments, some kind of body work or something, right? Okay. I asked you and you said yes. We'll talk about it after. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
At what time?
6 o'clock, 6 p.m.
Wednesday.
Look how joyous. She's just like, sure, okay. Yeah. My talk today, I called it Thinking with Divine Mind. Because I've had so much practice of not thinking with divine mind. So I really can tell the difference. And so I know that everybody can tell the difference. The Irish poet and mystic W.B. Yeats said, the world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. Okay, so the world is full of magic things that we're not aware of yet. And we call things magic when they seem magical because we don't understand them. But that's really kind of explains our relationship with spirit. Sometimes we know what we're doing and it's flowing in our life and we feel it. Sometimes it happens on accident and so it feels magical and unexplained. But it's really the divine nature of the world that we live in. Okay, it's the divine nature of spirit and how we live and breathe and move and have our being in spirit. The world of magic things is the unseen world of God. The unseen, before it's manifest, while it's just still pure potential. That's the unseen world. And seeing the world, having the awareness, letting our senses grow sharper, we start to see God in all of its different manifestations. Okay, whether it's in the unseen as potential, or it's the activity of moving into the seen world, or it's the manifestation. This is why Jesus said, with God, all things are possible. This was like the main part of his message. He understood that the unseen world was there, but it had to move through us to manifest. And Jesus was well aware of this, and he knew that it wasn't him in his limited human form doing this. He knew it was God, his Father, because he would always say, "Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for hearing my prayers." And he would say that prayer of thanks before he performed a miracle. Okay, so he knew that it was God working through him that was performing the miracle, right? He knew it wasn't his own, perceptions. It was God working through him. Paul then, so what Jesus was telling us how with God all things are possible, Paul tells us how God is everywhere present when he explained that in God we live and move and have our being. Okay, so God is everywhere that we are. If we are here, we're in God. Okay, so it's not like just being a drop in the ocean. It's being the drop of the ocean in the ocean. Okay, we're always in God. Now, both of these men spoke of God as a pure, unlimited force. Okay, the natural divine order of how things are created. They spoke of it as an unlimited force, which meant that as unlimited, it is beyond our imagination, and it is beyond our understanding, and it is beyond our expectation. Okay, that is truly unlimited, beyond understanding, beyond imagination, beyond our expectation. It's bigger than what we could ever possibly conceive. Ernest Holmes said, "Love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation." Okay, so spirit is always in a state of giving. Spirit isn't like being all relaxed and withdrawn one moment, right? And then giving later on if it's in a good mood. Its natural state is always to just be giving. It's a waterfall with an infinite supply of water flowing through it, right? It will never stop giving. Then through the desire of life, this is what is programmed into that infinite source. What is being programmed into it is what the desire is, okay? Desire is what we're thinking about. It is made manifest then so we can experience it. So if it is programmed, if its greatest desire is to keep giving, and it's programmed by the desires of life, we want to look at desire. And that is what inspired this whole talk for me about thinking with divine thinking. Okay, because we have two kinds of thinking that we do. We have our thinking where we think of what we want, but it's actually what we don't want. Okay, I don't want them to not like me. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be, I don't want them to make fun of me. I don't want them to think I'm a funny dresser, right? Those are all things we actually don't want in our experience, okay? But see, the mind doesn't see the negative connections. It doesn't understand the negative commands, right? And any parent, and I've said this before because it's just a funny thing to think about, but any parent knows this. When your child has started to go running and you yell, "Don't run," they run faster. The don't does not connect in their brain. Now, we get better at hearing negative commands as we get older, but doesn't mean we're that much better at not following them, right? A lifeguard will always yell, "Walk." Okay? A lifeguard does not yell to a child running around a swimming pool, "Don't run." They yell, "Walk." I had a family member who used to do this to me when I was little. "Do you not understand? I don't want you to," and they would say this, and I would just be like, "I don't know what you just said to me." What I would end up doing is, because I didn't know if she was asking me for a yes or a no answer, I would finally say, I don't want to do that, and I would just like hope I was getting it right. I could not understand all the negatives being thrown in there. Okay, but this is called double-minded thinking. Thinking from two minds, thinking from fear and thinking from love at the same time. Okay, thinking about what we want, but focusing more on what we don't want. Now, when we're thinking from love, that is a creative force that works through us. When we're thinking from fear, that's a destructive force that comes through us. Now, this is important for us to realize. Everything is coming from the unseen realm. But we are either using that power with love or we're using the power with fear. Everything is from God. Everything is from the unseen realm. Okay? How are we using it? Okay, that's what we want to focus on. Now, this can be really hard sometimes to get. And I know that I used to really fight with it because I didn't want to think that some bad thing somebody was doing came from God. Okay? It's a misuse of the divine power, though. That's what it is. And because there's no love energizing it, it comes out as a destructive force. It's all a force. But is it a destructive force or is it a creative and building force? Okay? Paul talked about this in Romans chapter 7. And I laugh when I read this, and I might even laugh a little when I read it out loud to you, because it makes me laugh every time I read it, because it reminds me of me, okay? But first of all, this is what he first explains, that sin is what misleads him, okay? Sin distracts him from his path. Evil is fear-based thinking that distracts him from his path. And then love is what is holy. Love is what lets the Spirit of God move through him and work through him. Okay? And so this is what he says. Let me know if you've ever felt this before, okay? I do not know what I do, and I do not do the thing which I want, but I do the thing which I hate. That is exactly what I do. The choice is easy for me to make, but to do it is difficult for me. Okay? For it is not the good that I wish to do that I do, but it is the evil that I do not wish to do that I do. It's like a tongue twister. It really is. Yeah. Now, if I do that which I do not wish, then it is not I who do it, but the sin which dominates me. Okay, so when he does what he doesn't want to do, it's being distracted. It's the fear-based thinking causing him to do that, okay? I'll read that one more time. Now, if I do that which I do not wish, it is not I who do it, but the sin which dominates me. I find, therefore, that the law agrees with my conscience when I wish to do good, but evil is always near distracting me. Evil is always near distracting us. Paul is talking about the two minds. Sometimes he's thinking from a loving heart and creating in a loving manner. And sometimes he's thinking with a fearful heart and bringing destructive forces into the world. That is why what we think is so important. Okay? What we think is so important. If we're judging, if we are being hateful or having harsh thinking toward ourselves or anybody else, we're shutting down the divine flow and instead allowing a destructive force to come through. And we know what that destructive force is. It's us continuing to beat ourselves up about things. It is us continuing to have those same conversations that make us feel more and more miserable, right? That's what that destructive force is. This is why we want to focus on divinity. When we're focusing on divinity and how divinity expresses in all of life, everywhere around us, then we're thinking with that divine mind. And we'll be creating from a space of love. If we're focused on mistakes or problems or things that upset us, we are thinking with a limited mind. And a limited mind will never, ever have a brilliant idea. Thinking with divine mind is where we get our brilliant ideas from. Okay? Thinking with a limited mind will just keep making us feel bad. It'll keep making us feel worse. Because we've cut off all that goodness. I heard somebody say, maybe you've heard this, worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Right?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that one a lot lately. I worry, worry, worry. It's like, wait, I'm praying for that. Oh, no, 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 no. What happens when we worry? We just keep worrying more, huh? Has anybody ever done that? Have you ever worried? Right? It just made you feel crummier? Yeah, that's what it does to me too. When Einstein said problems cannot be solved with the same mind that created him, this is what he was created them. This is what he was talking about. The worrying minds create the difficulties in our life, okay? But they cannot fix those difficulties because a worrying mind won't have a brilliant idea. A worrying mind won't be inspired, okay? And so that's why we just keep feeling worse and worse. I've personally had the experience where I've been really worried about something. And I just keep worrying. And what's going on in my head is, what am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? What am I going to do? How did this happen? Blah, 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 blah. And it just keeps going and going and going, right? And then I'll get distracted, right? Thank you, God, for distractions. And I'll forget to worry, all right? And I start having fun. And I'm having fun conversation with somebody, or I'm doing something fun, or the kids and I are out doing something. Then, that is when I get the answer that I need. That's when I get a brilliant idea. Like all of a sudden, then it pops into my head, right? Not when I was all worrying and saying, what do I do? What do I do? How am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix this, right? Nothing ever came to me when I was actually asking that because I was worried. Because I limited what I could receive by being worried. Okay, but when we're distracted, we open up. When we're distracted and feeling joyful, okay, that's the key. Being distracted and feeling joyful. Okay, then we start letting the answers come to us. So ideally, that is what we want to do when we're focusing on divine mind. Okay, we're going to feel that joyfulness, and God can work through us then for our greatest good. For our greatest good. That's the unlimited mind. Christ had a way of thinking that allowed him to always express the brightest version of himself. His way of thinking let God work through him for his highest good and for the highest good of everybody around him. That's why everybody wanted to follow him around all the time and just keep learning from him all the time. He was always expressing this indwelling Spirit of God so everybody could experience it with him, right? See, the divine mind focuses on the miracles. Divine mind focuses on creating abundance and goodness in the world. Okay, that's divine mind's purpose. That's creating from love. When we're the limited mind, its focus is creating more problems for us. Okay, the limited mind, which comes from worrying or anger or any of that, its focus is to create problems. So that's another reason we don't want to walk around feeling worried or feeling angry or feeling judgmental, because that mind wants to create problems. And we don't want those problems. We want goodness flowing in our life. We've all heard the story of Job, okay? Job had a lot of really terrible things happen to him. First of all, he lost all of his wealth, then he lost his family, then he lost his own health. And finally, he just was in the midst of suffering. And he said to his friend, "For the thing which I greatly feared has come upon me. And that which I was afraid of has befallen me. I am not at ease, neither am I calm, nor am I at rest. And yet misfortune came." Okay? Everything that he had worried about and feared, it was now in his life. Okay, now in his life. His friend says to him, "Your words have upheld the weak, and you have strengthened the feeble knees." I know, huh? What his friend is saying, though, his friend recognizes that Job was once the guy that everybody went to, right, to feel uplifted. Job was the guy that helped other people. Job was the guy who inspired people and made them feel stronger, okay? And now he's not doing this anymore. His friend goes on to say, "But now because misfortune has come upon you and you are weary, it touches you and you are terrified. Behold, your fear is to be blamed, and your trust in the integrity of your way." Now, Job was always considered a very righteous man. When all these bad things started happening to him, though, he wasn't trusting God anymore. Okay, now when things were really good for him, when he had all this abundance, when he had a huge happy family, he had good health, well, it was easy to find God everywhere present, right? Any of us can have that experience. Things are going good, we got the money coming in, we're feeling good and energetic, and our relationships are good. Well, of course God's there, right? But see, now Job is being faced with disaster in his own life, and his friend is trying to explain to him that it's now more than ever before that he needs to be able to find God. So when Job was not trusting in the integrity of his own path, that meant he wasn't trusting really how God worked through him. Because while things were good for him, he could say, see how great my life is? God is working through me. And all you have to do is let God work through you too. Okay, and what does he say now? Okay, what does he say now that everything's fallen apart? Okay, how does he still say, well, yeah, my life is a disaster and I feel horrible and I wish I were dead? He actually wished he were dead. Okay, he was not trusting. His feelings of being treated so cruelly and his feelings of being abandoned put him into a state of suffering that he couldn't get out of. His friend then says to him, I have seen those who plow iniquity and sow trouble, they reap the same. I have seen the wicked prosper, and then things fall apart. For man is born for trouble, as surely as the wild birds fly. Okay, man is born for trouble. We are unlimited beings in a body. The unlimited part of us always stays unlimited, always stays connected to our source. Okay, always has access to that divine wisdom. The limited part of ourself, however, that you see right here, its inclination is to be limited. Okay, the mind will naturally want to go toward limited thinking, just like weeds naturally grow really easy in the garden. And it's all the good stuff that takes all the love and nurturing, right? Oh, we want really good food in our garden, that all takes work. Yet the weeds, they just come without us even thinking about it. Okay, that is limited thinking. His friend goes on to say, but for me, I would seek God, and to God I would commit my cause. God who has done great things without limit and marvelous things without number. Okay, so what he's saying is, I'd take all my problems and give them to God. Okay, instead of saying, what am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? How am I supposed to blah, blah, blah? Okay, give it to God. God who has done great things without limit, right? With God, all things are possible. There's no limit on the great things that God can do. There's no limit on the great things God can do while God is working through us. And the marvelous things without number. Okay, goodness should be coming to us in abundance if we are just able to let that flow through us. And goodness is all around us. All we have to do is let ourselves see it. See how God is working in all things, how God is always everywhere present. His friend in that moment was able to see God as an unlimited force that is always everywhere present. Unlimited and everywhere. Okay, that is why we want to practice thinking like Christ did. And it takes practice, right? It takes practice. Getting rid of any bad habit takes practice. You know what that feels like, right? I know when I decided to be a calm driver, that took practice. Okay, but I did it. I was able to do it. But practice, practice. Thinking with the divine mind. All we have to do is practice that too, and we can do it. Practice seeing love everywhere. Practice seeing God everywhere. Practice saying during each and every disaster that befalls, how's divinity going to express in this? How's divinity going to surprise me in a good way in this? I know. So we allow this goodness to flow to us. By flowing through us, we can allow all that goodness, okay? All the marvelous things that happen without number, okay? All of that. We're still going to be faced with difficulties, okay? Because we live in an interactive world. We have people around us all the time, okay? We have family, we have friends, we have people in our community, we have coworkers, Everybody has a different idea of how things should be going. Everybody has a different vibration at any given moment of the day. Okay? We're always going to be around somebody who has a drama going on. We're always going to be around suffering. Okay? This is always going to be in this reality. Okay? It's just a reality. Okay? It's always going to be around us. Now, we do ourselves a great favor when we decide just to see God as everywhere present. Because this helps us to, even though we may have to be part of the drama, we don't have to buy into the drama, and we don't have to suffer in the drama. Okay? Just by seeing God as everywhere present. Divine thinking is not about denying the difficulties that we see around us. But the thing is that when we're seeing difficulties and we're focused on the difficulties, we're focused on the problems, we're creating more problems. We're creating more difficulties. Because that's the limited mind that keeps focused on that. Okay, the divine mind can look at a problem and not see it as a problem. See it as an opportunity for divinity to express through that. Okay, to surprise, to exceed the expectation. Okay, to bring forth marvelous things without limit. Okay, that is divine mind thinking. Divine thinking is about remembering that we are an unlimited being in a body. Okay, divine thinking is about remembering that our spirit is unlimited and the force that we have that works through us is unlimited. Okay, we don't have to deny the stuff that's going on. Okay, we don't have to deny if we have a pain, right? Like I have a knee that just sometimes really hurts. I can hardly walk on it. Okay, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying it because I have to be careful how I walk with this knee, right? But instead I say, how is Spirit going to work through me now? Okay, how can I love my knee a little bit right now? How can I love it even more and even more and even more right now? Okay, instead of going fearful on it. Okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to my knee? Am I going to be able to walk? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Okay, that doesn't help me move forward. It doesn't help me express the brightest version of myself. If I'm focused on love, okay, I'm focused on loving myself even though maybe my body's not doing all the things I want it to do. Okay, sometimes that happens, right? We love ourselves anyway. Okay, because the more love we are loving ourselves, the more love is working through us. Johann, I'm going to read a poem, okay, to you that's about this divine thinking. And it's by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I always have trouble with that last name. This poem, to me, is about our double-minded thinking. Having divine thinking one minute or having limited thinking, okay? This poem is called Mephistopheles. I'd never heard it before, but somebody shared it with me a couple of days ago. Do we not all lack something of one sort or another? Here it's money that's run short. It does not grow on trees, that's true, I fear, but from the depths, wisdom can bring it here. There is gold in the earth, coin and uncoined, hoards hidden under walls, rocks precious veined. This treasure's for the wise man to collect by nature's power and intellect. I think that is so powerful. There is a treasure for us to find, but it cannot be found with a limited mind. That's my own poem. Now when he says there's gold in the earth, coined and uncoined, okay, there's abundance in our life in the way we expect it, right? There's having the stable job, okay, or there's having, just the things that we expect to happen. But uncoined, this is how we don't expect abundance to come into our life. Okay, but how abundance can come into our life and surprise us. How it can take a form we didn't expect, take a form that is bigger or grander than anything that we ever imagined. Okay, that abundance is all around us in both the expected ways, but also in the unexpected ways. That with the divine mind, we can allow to come to us. It's the unlimited mind that lets the surprises and delightful surprises come to us. He goes on to say its hoards are hidden under walls, rocks. What are walls for us, right? Walls are a metaphor for closing ourselves in. Walls are the metaphor for limiting, right? And so there is all of this abundance just beyond those walls for us. So we let ourselves start thinking with an open, unlimited mind, with a divine mind, and that abundance then becomes available to us. There is abundance for those who are willing to think with the divine mind. And I know, like, I think about my own life, and I think about ways that I'm able to find that abundance in my life. Okay, even when I think it's not there, when I'm thinking with an open, loving heart, I'm discovering how it is there and how it is coming to me. And how, with my open heart and letting myself have divine thinking, I get ideas that allow it to come to me in ways that I hadn't thought of before. I wasn't able to think of those ways when I was worried. So I'm going to just give you the rundown on divine thinking in a nutshell, right? That's what we all want. We just want it's like, just give it to me so we can do it now, right? So this is divine thinking in a nutshell. First of all, it's focusing on seeing God as everywhere present. This is really important to our being able to have divine thinking, because if we're looking at a situation and it seems like that situation shouldn't have happened and it was wrong for happening, if we were in charge of the universe, we would have done differently. We have just limited our thinking, because we don't know how divinity is going to come through that. We don't know what the long-term effect of divinity is going to be on the situation, right? And again, we're faced daily with struggles. We're faced daily with opportunities to see how God's going to express in a way that will surprise and delight us. Okay, when we have that expectation of having our expectations exceeded and being surprised and delighted, we're seeing God as everywhere present. Because you just never know. You really never know where that next bit of love and abundance comes from. And when I say abundance, I mean it all. Okay, good relationships, health, prosperity, living your dream. Okay, abundance, that's everything. Everything good and positive working through us. We never know where that's coming from. We never know how it's going to surprise us, how it comes to us, right? We want those surprises. Okay, we do. The second thing to do, okay, to get into divine thinking is to let go of those expectations. Letting go of our expectations. This can be kind of hard, because sometimes we know something has to happen in our life and we see that it has to happen just like this, right? There's a pattern to how it's going to happen, and it has to happen that way for us to be happy. Well, we've just limited ourselves. If we say it has to happen just this way, we've limited ourselves. Now, when we let go of our expectations, what we're also doing with this process then is we're surrendering our will to divine will. God has a bigger mind than we do. God has the whole picture in mind, right? We can't see the whole picture. We can't see the big picture. God sees the big picture. Something could happen for us in a way that we never imagined, because we cannot imagine everything. We can't. It is impossible for us to imagine everything because we haven't experienced everything, right? So we want to let go of our expectations. That also helps us to let go of judgments about things, right? Because if we have an expectation, it doesn't work out how we want it to, we judge it then. Well, that's not how I wanted it to work out. That's not how it was supposed to be. Okay, so we let go of those expectations, surrenders our will to divine will, which allows the big surprises to come into our life. Okay, those big, surprising, delightful things to work through us for our highest good. And then all we have to do is this third thing, and that's just watch how we're feeling. Our feeling is our barometer. It is always telling us, right now, am I thinking with divine thinking or am I thinking with limited thinking? If you feel bad for any reason, if you're worrying, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, that's not divine thinking, because it feels bad, right? You feel worried about something, that doesn't feel good. If you're really angry or frustrated, that doesn't feel good. That means that the divine flow of goodness has been shut down. Because if the divine flow of goodness was flowing through you, you'd know it, right? We always know when goodness is flowing through us. So we think about how we feel. If we're feeling joyful, then we are connected to divine mind. We're connected to divine thinking. Okay, divine thinking is always going to bring feelings of joyfulness through us, even during difficult situations. Okay, even during things that are happening that we wish weren't happening, we can still have divine thinking in that. Believe me, I have really been practicing this, I promise you. I'm not telling you something I have not tried out on myself. Okay, these last few weeks in my family, things have been upside down. Okay, my husband, he lost his job. He's got another job now, but it doesn't pay very well. And so I've really had to practice what I'm talking about. Okay, when I'm worrying, I'm not getting any good ideas, not one. Okay, when I'm worrying, I start feeling worse and worse. So I've had to manually learn to reset myself, right? Because I don't want to just keep worrying. And because I know, I'm sitting there worrying and I'm like, okay, I know this is bad. I know this is limiting my thinking. I know I'm not going to get any good ideas. I have to do something about it, right? Like, now I know, so I have to do something about it. I can't just stay worrying. Okay, so I've taught myself to change right then and there instead of waiting for some divine distraction to come through for me. Now, I'm not in denial. My husband, it frustrates him when I get myself happy because he says, why aren't you worrying more about this? Okay, like, well, worrying isn't going to do anything. Worrying doesn't bring me the brilliant ideas, right? Worrying isn't bringing any solutions. No solutions. Now, remember, Spirit is always giving. It's always giving, but it's giving what we're programming into it. Now, the worrying energy that I put into Spirit just brings more worrying energy. Okay, the more of the feeling of doom and gloom. That's what comes through me then if I'm worrying. I want solutions. I want ideas. I want to feel brilliant. I want to feel creative. So this means I have to change my way of thinking. Anybody who wants solutions, who wants to have brilliant ideas, who wants to feel great, has to change their way of thinking to match what it is they want. Okay, what do we want in our life? We want to feel joyful. We want to feel peaceful. We want to feel enthusiastic, right? We want to feel love. Our thinking has to match what we want to bring through, okay? Because that's the message we're sending. Love, 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 love. That's what I want. I'm actually going to walk you through an exercise. This is the exercise that I do. It's a short exercise. You can make it long. I'm going to keep it short for today. This is what I do when I need to shift my thinking because I feel miserable, okay? Just take a breath and close your eyes. Imagine at your heart center, there is a beautiful golden light. Okay, just see this light, golden, radiant, and let it expand. See it getting bigger so that it is bigger than you. So now you are surrounded by this loving, brilliant energy. And now say to yourself, I am blessed by love and light. I am blessed by source energy. I am blessed by love and light. I am blessed by source energy. I am blessed by love and light. I am blessed by source energy. Thank you, 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 thank you. Okay, and just open your eyes. That felt good, didn't it? That felt good. And sometimes I say thank you 100 times, but it always works. It always works. We're given the tools we need to lead these happy lives that we want to have. The Spirit of truth is always within us, ready to tell us the next thing we need to do so we can move to the next grandest version of ourselves. The Spirit of truth is always there. And it's not quiet. It is always speaking to us. We are the one that shuts the door on us, on it. Okay, it's always there. It is always expressing this love and this brilliance for it. So we want to put ourselves in alignment with it. Okay, we want to start thinking along with it. Because then, see, divine thinking, it's about us letting God think through us. That's what it is. That's why we don't have to come up with the brilliant ideas ourselves. We get in alignment with God's thinking. God thinks those brilliant ideas through for us. Okay, that's why sometimes you will have such an amazing idea, and you wonder where it came from, right? Have you ever had an inspiration, you're like, I don't know where that came from? That came from you. It came from the higher part of you that's connected to God all the time. Okay, that never knows separation, that never knows what it feels like to not just be pure love. Now, Paul said, the eye has not seen and the ear has not heard and the heart of man has not conceived the things which God has prepared for those who love him. Now, it's interesting that he says the eye has not seen, the ear has not heard, and the heart of man, okay, the heart of man has not conceived what God has for those who love him. Okay? That's the physical part of us. Okay? The spiritual part of us, though, okay, that's always connected to God. We'll hear those things when we get in alignment with that thinking. That's why he said, for those who love him. The Spirit of God is always giving. Now, for those who love God, what that just means, for those who love. For those who love. What is God? God is love. Right? When we feel God working through us, what do we feel coming through us? We feel love. When we watch somebody else letting God work through them, and it is so precious to us, and there's so much compassion, we get a little teary-eyed, right? What is working through them? You could call it God, or you could call it love. You could call it compassion. Okay? For those who love, God can exceed all expectations. God can bring through those who love things that even their own heart couldn't conceive of, things that their own imagination could not conceive of. Man, a long, long time ago, thought that all the imagination was in the heart. Okay, all the thinking was done through the heart. The heart, they sensed at that time, was very important. Okay, it needed to be protected from wrong thinking. It needed to be protected from negativity. It needed to be protected from the judgments and the criticisms, because it was love coming through that made life better. It is love and compassion coming through that helped us to express the next grandest version of themselves. God is an unlimited force. That love is an unlimited force. And what unlimited means is that it's always beyond our imagination. It's beyond our experience, right? It is just not something we can conceive of while we are inhabiting these human bodies. Okay, we just can't conceive of it. And so we just have to think of that as just being part of the game that we're in right now. We are here to learn to find God. We're just here to learn to find God and see God everywhere. And we do that with our divine thinking. Just puts us right there. Then we do see God. We see God in all of his creations. Okay? So we just think with that divine mind. We let God think for us by thinking through us. I like that. So until next time, remember that you are a divine child of a loving Creator. You are a force for good. You are a light and you light the way. With every beat of your heart and with every breath you take, you are radiating light and love into this world. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. Amen. Pearl, can you reach our prayer box? Do you know that once a month, right around the full moon, I take out all the prayers and I burn them? I have this beautiful, like, thing. I can't think of the name. It holds a log and you set it on fire.
Fire pit?
Thank you. Fire pit. Yes, thank you. It's outside. And I just go out there with the full moon and I say some prayers and I throw bits of lavender down on them because lavender smells really good. And I burn those, just send them all to Spirit. Okay? And all of the energy and love that we put into those prayers while they're in the box, that goes with them. So right now, we're just going to think about the prayers that are out there right now. Okay, the prayers that are in this box, the prayers that each of us in this room have thought of. Okay, something that we're concerned about. And we know we want to be able to let the worry about it go, right? We want to focus on divinity and love and how God is going to work through that situation. That's why we put it in this box, because then we have all the support of everybody in this room sending that loving energy into it, even if we're having a little trouble at that moment, okay? Everybody else here is not having that trouble, and they will send love. We all will send love. So let's all just close our eyes for a moment. And we think about the people that we know and love, the people that we know and tolerate, the people that we know in our existence who have a concern right now in this moment, and even the people that we don't know yet. We think about their concerns, and we decide right now, we're just going to send so much love to that, because we remember what it is that works through them, what it is that works through us, and we see that divinity is already expressing through that situation. We see divinity is already expressing through that event. Divinity is already expressing through the worries and through the concerns to bring a happy outcome, to bring a loving outcome. And we think about any of our own worries or concerns, and we just go ahead and put those into the light. And even if we are still feeling some worry over it, we know that all the loving spirit presences in this room right now, all these loving hearts, they are sending pure love and source energy to those concerns. We have so much backup. We have so much love that supports us. We have so much love going to every worry or every problem. And it helps us see that divinity will be expressing. It helps us see that our expectations will be exceeded. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a lot of love in this room right now. You guys are awesome. Okay, so now we'll sing our song.